The heart of customer success is the pain point of the customers. So when I'm a customer success manager, I have to straight away understand what is the pain point of the customer, how am I solving this, and what value am I giving to the customer, and how am I measuring it. They need to see a real return on investment, and that's where the long-term gain actually begins, because when you see the return on investment, then they see the value, they stay with us, they sign a renewal. I think Germans especially are very data-driven. You have to be a trusted advisor as a customer success manager, and you better have your data ready to have the evidence why you are making certain recommendations, decisions, and so on. Collaboration, set up the environment and your culture to be a collaborative environment. Communication in that way is key. You need to be connected with sales, marketing, product. Second one, see customer success as a revenue engine and not a cost center. It's also the entire company. So it's marketing, reaching out to the right leads, selling to the right ICP, selling on the right pain point, doing the good onboarding, whoever is responsible for it.
What would you say are 3 things that a company can do to support their customer success department? Thank you so much for listening to the first ever English sales podcast for the German-speaking market. Before we continue, I want to make you a promise. I promise that with this show, I will do my utmost best to bring in the guests and share the stories that help you succeed in the DACH market. But I can only do so much. So, if you hit the subscribe button, I can get more guests, bigger stories, and better insights to help you succeed in your sales job. So, with no further ado, sit back, relax, and let the show begin. Cara, why should sellers care about customer success?
So I think sellers should especially care nowadays about customer success. We're in a very difficult situation. We're in an economic crisis. Budgets have been cut, and also sellers have, a lot of pressure on their shoulders to close new deals. And I think also with CACs rising, a very difficult situation, to retain customers is the most important thing, I think, at the moment for companies. They pay your salary at the moment, so you should definitely care about them because they pay your salary. But also not just that. I think also, customer success is a department that takes care of the customers, but also tries to expand with customers. So I like to see the sales game, especially as a long-term game. And I think those are also the most successful sellers that see the sales game as a long-term game, thinking, hey, I've sold my deal, I've closed the deal, very nice, let's celebrate, but let's also make sure that the customer stays with us, that the customer expands with us, and that is actually the post-sales part that customer success takes care of.
I feel like when I watched you doing the masterclass, I really got the sense of your passion, like I felt your passion for the topic. What is it about customer success that makes you so passionate?
Oh, that's a good question. So I think, first of all, customer success is at the very beginning, especially in DACH. And that excites me a lot because it's a challenge, right? Not a lot of people see customer success maybe how they should see it. So I'm really passionate about making people realize how important customer success is and what value customer success brings. And that especially because I also come more from the account management part, which is sales and customer success in one person, right? So in account management in the old school, let's say, sales, there's no differentiation between sales and customer success. And I feel that we're in a very exciting moment at the moment about customer success, and I just like giving that passion over. So I'm happy that you felt my passion came across in my masterclass.
Yeah, 100%. I think what really struck me was how important it is to think about customer success from an AE perspective. Because I was an account executive, I was never a customer success manager. So with that in mind, as an account executive, there are specific things that you mentioned that are super, super crucial to keep in mind while closing a deal. Do you mind sharing that with the audience?
Yes. Um, it's very basic. It's customer centric selling. So I think if you put the customer first, if you put their problem first, you have the right tactics, the right mindset, especially to be one of the best sellers. So I've seen in the past a lot of AEs, and I've also been an AE, right? Just close deals that are not ICP fit, that are not, that don't really have a pain. And if you look at them long term, they're never going to be successful. So if we, especially in customer success, see churn, a lot of the churn comes from customers that are not just our ICP or that they don't actually have a pain point. And that's why I always tell my team, don't lose any time on them. If they don't have a pain which our product responds to, then why lose time? Then it's better to separate ways and concentrate on the ones that really fit into our ICP. So I think all of those AEs that say, hey, closing, always be closing. Yes, you have to close as a salesperson, but just put the customer first, put their pain point first. And then also I think those customers will definitely come back to you in case they have another problem, because they've seen you more as an advisor rather than as a salesperson that just wanted to close the deal. So I think that's really important nowadays.
So what you're saying is that as a customer success manager, you are literally like an account executive, but with a very warm lead, like still trying to understand what exactly is the pain point, and then upselling, cross-selling when there is an actual pain. Is that correct, or did I catch that wrong?
Absolutely. So I see customer success as a revenue engine. So I know a lot of people go into customer success because they've been in sales and they don't want to be driven by revenue anymore. Well, sorry, but in a company, everything is about revenue, right? So you need to make revenue, you need to raise revenue, you need to prevent a loss of revenue. And I have a very salesy approach to customer success. And the heart of customer success is actually the pain point of the customer. So the value that I bring to the customer. So when I'm customer success manager, I have to straight away understand what is the pain point of the customer, how am I solving this, and what value am I giving to the customer, and how am I measuring it. So also just saying, the customer's happy with us, that's not enough. They need to see a real return on investment. And that's where the long-term gain actually begins, right? Because when you see the return on investment, then they see the value, then they'll be retained. They stay with us. They sign a renewal. So that's where I actually see customer success.
And when you look at the companies and the individual cultures, let's say, do you see a big difference in customer success in DACH, so in the German-speaking market, compared to the English market or the American market or the French or the Spanish market, you living in Spain yourself? So do you see a big difference there?
Well, I think Germans are very special in their way, anyways, right? So I think, and I say that being a German, um, but I think Germans especially are very data driven. So that is definitely one point that I see, especially when comparing more to Americans and stuff. You have to be a trusted advisor as a customer success manager, and you better have your data ready to, have the evidence why you are making certain recommendations, decisions, and so on. So I think that's definitely a very strong point within the DACH market that you have to take into account in customer success.
I had an episode with Vince about discovery and about like how closing works in DACH. And he said a very interesting point. He said that in DACH you need the first, like one of the first and most important things you need to get is commitment from the prospect and the feeling that they are in control. So it's not that you do the salesy one of like, okay, how about next week, let's have a meeting then. You literally just turn it around and say things like, oh, when are you available best, etc., etc., etc. So just like give the other person the feeling of control. Do you see the same in customer success, or are there other qualities that you're like, hey, actually, this is the one thing you definitely have to check in with them every day, because then they feel heard and they feel seen, or actually don't check in with them for at least 3 months until you can bring them clear data? What's the approach there?
I think with customer success in DACH, we're still a little bit behind if you compare it to other markets. And a lot of the customers actually don't understand the term customer success, right? So I've had a lot of clients where my customer success manager would, present themselves and say, "Hey, I'm your customer success manager, and I'm here to help you, and I'm here to support you." Where I raised my hand straight away and I said, "No, you're just selling yourself like a premium support person. Like, really make sure that you make the client understand, what are you here for? You're here to make the customer successful. How is the customer successful? Well, that only the customer will be able to tell you how they're going to be successful. And then we go back to the value and the key metrics and stuff. So I think there's no real rule. I have to reach out every 3 months and do a quarterly business review, or I have to check in at least once a month because otherwise they haven't heard from us. If the client sees the value and has understood it, why would you reach out? Like, it's a little bit like friendships. You have a couple of friendships where you talk to them maybe once or twice or 3 times a year, but when you talk to them, it's still great. It's still a good friend. It feels like you've talked to them every week. Well, it's a little bit the same with clients. So I like to take the approach, reach out if there's really a necessity and if there's value for the customer to reach out. Don't just do QBR because it's been 3 months since you've talked to them. Like, do a QBR because you have some reason and you have some value to transmit to them, that they will actually take away something. And that's actually where we need to distinguish ourselves still more, and especially in the DACH market, from support. Customer success is not support, because support is there to be, reactive. If they cannot log in, it's support. If they have an issue with the platform, it's support. So I think that is one important thing I would say you really need to make clear when talking to clients, that they understand your role and they understand the value that you give to them.
I feel like you touch on a very, very important point, and that is in sales. I feel there are a lot of people who make themselves not equal, like who see themselves as lower than the other one. It's like, okay, do you mind if, or I'm really sorry for reaching out, or little things like that. But when you actually bring value, when there's actually a reason to call, a reason to send an email, a reason to reach out, then there's an equality, there's an eye level that you keep. So that's a really, really interesting point. I find, especially customer success, because it's so simple, so similar to sales, and yet not really touched upon and represented well enough. It's super interesting to hear your perspective on that. I guess one big thing in sales is the language. How, if a company is trying to expand into DACH, how important would you say is it that they have a German-speaking customer success manager?
Super important. So, and I think it just shows what I just said. If I tell a German Mittelstand, like how you like to call it, hey, I'm your customer success manager, they don't get it. Like, and it's normal, right? They're not used to buying software. They're not used to implementing software. They're not used to different terms. It's new for them. So I think speaking the same language is crucial. And I think you would agree and say it's the same, right? Because you want to make sure that you talk the same language and that the customer understands you and that you understand the customer. So I think it's definitely a must-have.
Okay. How, because one thing that when I prepared this podcast, this episode, I was just asking myself, how would I go about if I was to join a customer success or become a customer success manager, right? And I've never worked with DACH before. I have no idea what to do. What questions would I ask myself? And one question that popped up was, what are the expectations of German speaking, of DACH companies? You already mentioned it's not really well known to have a customer success manager, so maybe there are not clear expectations, but are there specific things that you say, other than reach out with value, reach out when there's a reason to reach out? Are there other things that you feel like are expected of customer success in DACH from the customer side?
Yeah, so it's funny, right? Because a lot of customers, we do a question to customers, and at a very early stage, maybe even after 3 or 5 months, where we say, hey, if today was a renewal, were you going to renew with us? And it's funny because what customers says then is, yeah, we're pretty happy with your product. And it feels like the understanding from customers is like the customer success manager is there to check on me if I'm happy, right? So which is funny, yeah. But obviously doesn't help when you go then to the CFO and say, hey, I bought the software and I'm really happy with it, so let's renew and spend another 20,000 euros on this. So I think definitely be also a trusted advisor. So I'd like to, especially when I hired for my team, I looked at people who were really good at consulting and project management, because they just know how to ask the right questions, and they also know how to listen and how to solve problems. So, and that goes a little bit further, not just saying, hey, are you happy? And if there's something wrong with our product, like let us know and we'll fix it or whatever. It also goes more into the phase of, hey, you are this client who does A, B, C. I have another client who had the same issue and they did this and then they achieved this. So it goes even a step further. And that sounds very salesy, right? Because in the end, what you're probably trying to do is sell them another feature, or, sell them another product, to cross-sell, upsell, whatever it is. But in the end, hey, it worked with somebody that are already used to do it or did it. So here I am to tell you also different insights from the industry, different use cases that other clients have. And I think only a very few very good customer success actually do that. And that would be definitely one point that I would recommend anybody stepping into customer success to act like a trusted advisor and not just the premium support, like we said it before.
Trust is a very, very good word. And it's actually the part that I wanted to touch upon as the next part, that is building trust. I did a commercial yesterday, and it was for a German company and English producers, right? And the producer, they had to start half an hour later because the studio wasn't ready. And I could feel how the German client, was already a bit a bit upset about it, a bit of like, chop, chop here, chop, chop. And then they said, well, we have 2 hours, right? And then the producer said, oh, well, no, we have actually to leave at noon dot. And then the client was like, but you were late, so we get our 2 hours. And I could feel how that trust in a very, very big production company, even though has a great name, etc., was just shaking. And at the end, I went to the producer and I recommended the culture map just to like help people understand the cultural differences. And I feel like that is the reason why I'm saying that is just as an example of how quickly culture and the trust is being shaken if you don't know what's important for that. So, long story short, what would you say are key strategies in creating trust and creating a rapport, a relationship with a customer in the DACH market?
I think I would say there are two important things. One is really understanding them. So understanding their problem And that goes, and I like to give examples, right? Because then it's always blah, blah, and you can't really do something with it. But I guess a lot of customer success managers had the issue where they're like, hey, I would really like your product to do this and this and this. And then you're like, oh yeah, that's a fair point. I haven't thought about it. What you really need to understand is then, okay, but why? So what is the problem? And what are you doing now to solve it? Because just if you really understand the problem, and that goes even further, if you understand the problem, then you'll be able to come up with a solution. And especially, and we have that very often, right? When you go to the product team as a customer success manager, you say, hey, the client said he wants ABC, our product, to do. And then the product team says, well, we don't have any room here in our next sprint to do this. Make sure you explain the problem also to the product team. So they can also come up with solutions. And maybe then there's a plan B until we have plan A in the product that we can, work on. Instead of straight away asking for a feature and saying, yeah, but the client really, really needs this and really, really wants it. So I think that is very important, which requires listening and understanding. And then the other point is open communication. And with open, I mean, be honest. If you cannot do the product feature, be transparent, be honest, because in the end, they're still human and you're still human. You cannot, do everything, but just make sure that you're honest and transparent as to why you might not be able to do it. Am I giving a really negative touch here? Because I think those are the most things that customer success managers struggle with if they have, a feature that doesn't come, or if we, did a shit job somewhere, but I think if you have this, if you're really understanding, empathetic, and you have an open and transparent communication, you will see that the customer might be disappointed, yes, and that's totally fine. But also they will probably be very understanding because they know in the end that you understood what their problem is. And then it's really important, like once you have a solution or you have a plan B or you even get the plan A, is to straight away say, hey, we couldn't do it. And I'm really sorry we couldn't at that time, but now we can do it. And I remember you had this problem, ABC. So here it is and the solution. And I think that creates a lot of trust because in the end it shows that you're caring, that you're listening, and you're also very transparent as to what you can do and what you cannot do.
Do you use specific softwares to keep track of that? Because I'm just thinking, if I have 50, let's say if I have 50 customers, right? And then I don't know in like 1.5 years, oh, that feature was actually really important for Herbert. So I have to reach out to Herbert to make sure that he knows that, do you have a software for that?
Yeah, well, not specifically for that. So I think it depends a little bit how your tool stack is set up in your company, right? A couple of customer success teams have customer success tools where you can track things like that. You could also just simply use, a CRM tool and put a note and pin it. So also don't overcomplicate things with tools. We also, for example, we have a weekly customer success meeting and we have one tab in our meeting notes, which is called product requests. And the good thing is it also helps us to prioritize because when a client comes in with a new product request, we also talk within the team, okay, is there another client who has the same issue? Oh yeah, my client has the same issue. We'll add up sort of the ARR to give more importance to a certain product feature and also to understand the impact of the feature. But also to do the one thing I just explained before, also to say customer success manager A has this client with this problem. Customer success manager B has a client who had this problem and they solved it this way. Also to exchange ideas, right? So just keep it simple and don't overcomplicate with different tools, I'd say.
I love this. It feels like I'm talking to an agent who has loads of clients, right? And then everyone knows, okay, this is the strength there, this is that. So you kind of have an overview of where each person is. How many customers would you give a customer success manager?
Oh,
5,000.
very stupid answer. Yeah, so it's a very lawyer answer. It depends.
Yeah.
So there are some rules that you can see and read out there. It should be that percentage of ARR, or customer success manager should minimum have 1 million or 1 to 1.5 million. I also had this issue, right? Because I started my team and I didn't know how many people would I need, so budget wise. So what I did was actually I wrote down all of the tasks that a customer success manager has and gave them time slots. And from the signature up to renewal, churn, whatever. And I calculated just bottom up, how many hours do I need as a customer success manager to manage one client? And then it obviously not every client is the same, right? So you might need to segment that a little bit. Well, I have bigger clients, enterprise clients, which are a little bit more, effort. I have smaller clients where I can automate a little bit more. But that exercise is really good. And then you can also compare it to so that's a bottom up exercise, and you can also do like the top down exercise. Okay, the rule is usually that customer success should cost that much of ARR, and that relates to so many customer success managers for that amount of clients. And then you just compare it and try it out a little bit. So yeah, unfortunately, there's no real rule. We at Workflex, we have around 70 clients per customer success manager. It depends really if you have a lot of enterprise clients, which are very, demanding, and that's real account management, I would even call it. You might even try and start to segment, hey, maybe I have enterprise customer success managers who only take care of 10 top accounts, because there's not much more you can do. So I would try to do the exercise top down, and you can read a lot of things on the internet of those kind of numbers, but also do the bottom up exercise to see how much time you really need to spend on a customer.
That is such an interesting approach. I told you before we started recording, I told you that we're currently going through, like, we're restructuring a lot, we're changing a lot, we're improving processes, we're polishing the whole thing. And one thing that I did was I did a diary of a week, and put down all of the things that I do per week, and then what can I automate, what can I, and that is usually I want to say in every role you're in, such an easy way of becoming more efficient, understanding what is it that you actually do right now, and what can you outsource, how long does it take, etc., etc. I love that. I guess after Corona, obviously the remote world became a thing. After Corona, do you feel like in-person meetings are quite important to keep the relationship up and running? Or do you think, honestly, yes, it's nice, of course, it's nicer to be in the room, but if online is better, then online is better?
Yeah, very interesting question. I think the question you have to ask yourself is, what is the difference going to make that I'm going to see the person face to face other than doing it digitally? So why do I have to be next to the person other than seeing them digitally? We, for example, we haven't met any clients face to face at Workflex. Never. I started now traveling to Germany a little bit, and I started writing clients and saying, hey, I'm around, do you want to meet up? And clients really appreciate it, right? Obviously, and I'm talking more about the German Mittelstand again, the enterprise clients, because there are more, let's say, old school, face-to-face, etc. and so forth. So I don't think it's a must-have to see your client face-to-face. And there we come back to the thing of value, like, what is it that you're going to discuss that cannot be discussed digitally? And there might be some topics, right? For example, I'm going to see a client, and I'm actually going to meet the management, and the management is in the office. And I'm going like 5 to 6 months before the renewal, because they're doing a pilot. So I think there it's important that we are present, and that the management is also seeing a person behind the software that they bought and that they piloted, right? So make sure, I think it's important to make sure, what is the extra value that I can bring? Also, clients tend to be a lot more honest face to face. So if you maybe have a difficult situation And that actually doesn't only go for customer success. We've also had some salespeople lately going to clients to their office and meeting them. And you'd be surprised, like they said, we probably would have never gotten that information if we would have done it digitally. So just make sure that, if it's maybe a difficult situation, if you want to get honest feedback, if it's a client, that is maybe a churn risk or they're piloting something, yes, think about it. But also, obviously, the client needs to be open and adapt to it. And there, I think, it's just trying it out. Offered it to a couple of clients. Some might appreciate it. Others might say, well, no, I don't have time. Or I'm on Christmas holiday. But yes, I think it becomes more and more important. Is it a must-have? I don't think so. So I think you can still manage your clients very well digitally.
Again, you brought something up that like sales and customer success is very similar in that sense as well. I have heard from a lot of customer success managers that they don't understand why sales is never reaching out to them. And I want to say never heard sellers speak about customer success. So how do you feel like sales and customer success should work together?
Oh, yeah. Uh, I think very closely, even more closely than any other department should work together. And I think mainly it's because if you look at it from a customer's perspective, the customer, I don't know, starts the sales process, is talking to a person, builds trust, explains their issues, finds the product valuable, buys a product, and then has a totally new contact person. Or that contact person better understands everything that I just told the other person and knows about my problems and knows what kind of value I want to get out of it. So that process needs to be as smooth as possible. And you can only do that by having a perfect handover, by having good communication. And I would motivate all customer success managers to also every now and then have a look at the demos salespeople do, especially of the customers that you're now going to take over. I would also motivate customer success managers to invite their salespeople to their QBRs, to their first onboarding call, whatever it is. And the same I would advise also the AEs to do. So I would also advise the AEs to maybe invite the customer success managers who are going to take over the client. Hey, I'm sort of in the last steps. Do you want to come in? I also really want to, present you, that you could tell a little bit more about, I don't know, if they do implementation or what the process is going to be after that. So I think it's not a blaming game here. I know a lot of CSM blame AEs and the other way around. But it's a joint team effort, because in the end you are under a revenue, let's say, umbrella. So I think it's key that those two departments work very, very closely together.
One thing that helped me a lot when I started in sales, not only when I started, when I was SDR as well as account executive, was I had sometimes weekly meetings with marketing and with customer success, just to like have a chat with the person, meet the person, which helped me as well, as joining the calls, joining the onboarding calls, joining the demos, vice versa. I really like that tactic. What worked quite well for me is also just to have a personal relationship with the customer success manager and with marketing, or the whole, as you say, the revenue umbrella. I like that word. Other than that, how do you are there other tactics that you usually use other than the demo and stuff to kind of bring the team together?
So we have every Friday we have a revenue weekly, where the sales team and the customer success team and marketing, so the entire revenue team, that's why it's called Revenue Weekly, come together, and everybody gets 2 minutes to say what went well this week, what maybe didn't go that well this week, what they learned, and also the opportunity to praise a person. And that is quite cool because it's not the typical, hey, let's catch up on work and let's see how we can work together better, but it's more a relaxed sort of revenue coffee chat. And it gives good insight for the customer success manager what is going on the AE side, and it gives also good insight for the AEs what the customer success managers are doing. Because if then the customer success manager says, "Hey, today I'm really happy because I got to to close an upsell from the client A," and it turns out the account executive of the client A who closed the first deal is in the room, well, that will probably make them happy, right? So I think also try and, at least that's what we try to do at Workflex, try and have those fun moments as well, celebrate together. We also have a sales and customer success win channel. So it's not just a sales channel, but it's also customer success celebrating the wins, which we're very bad at, by the way. So we can definitely learn that from sales. But that already, simply by seeing the name of the channel, it already says, hey, this is joint, this is together, this is revenue. And I think that really helps as well.
I am not familiar with the incentive in customer success. Are customer success usually getting commission on renewals?
Yeah, so that's also it depends answers. It depends a little bit about but that's mainly because customer success is so broad and organized differently in every company, right? Because other has implementation managers, customer success, account managers, renewal managers. Others have customer success manager for everything. What you would usually see is that customer success managers also have a bonus, a quota, not as high as sales, obviously. So usually it'd be like an 80 to 20 ratio or 70 to 30. And the incentivization mainly, at least I'm talking more like the majority, is more around two indicators. So we have lagging indicators and we have leading indicators. Lagging means when I get out the number, I cannot do anything anymore about this number because it's what happened in the past. And leading is, okay, this number gives me an indication of where I'm going through, where I'm leading to. And one of them is product adoption. So how the client is using the product, that is a leading indicator. So I will straight away see, hey, if the usage is not there where I would like it to be, or if they haven't adopted this feature, if they haven't done this in the product, I can already tell, ooh, that's a signal that I might need to do something on this client. And that's how I really like to see revenue, customer success. And I said it in the beginning, revenue numbers, and that is more about net revenue retention. So how much revenue was I able to retain? And that includes, have I lost clients, churned? Have I expanded? Was there downsizing? So it's the entire, let's say, book of business. And that's mostly what you will see in customer success that you're looking at.
Now with the churn, I already feel the anxiety in my body if I imagine to go into a renewal meeting, knowing it's a very difficult customer, knowing that there have been issues, and knowing that I will be the one to blame. Do you have specific strategies or tactics that you recommend customer success managers to do before joining that call, or like being in that call when it is about tough renewals?
Very good question. Probably when you're in a situation where you already say, oh my God, I need to go into this renewal call, it's going to be tough, you're already too late.
Yeah.
So ideally, you would have known before the renewal is going to take place that it's already a tough client, and should have taken action there. That being said, so I like to always treat renewals. The perfect renewal for me would be if it doesn't really feel like a renewal, right? If it just goes automatically, there's no worry. I've asked my customer, right? We had it before. Hey, if today was going to be the renewal, would you renew? Yes, no, who decides it, etc. So I think if I were going to a very difficult renewal discussion, I would do what we just said before, be very transparent. So you're not going to change in that renewal meeting that things didn't go the right way they should have gone. So you better know of them, and you better have a plan how you're going to solve them in case you haven't solved them already. And you're going to be brutal honest with the client. And then I think it's also important that you get the right people into this meeting. So oftentimes I've seen customer success manager in a renewal meeting talk to a champion or a user because that's their main point of contact, during the entire relationship. But who's actually going to decide? And that goes back to sales. Those are sales strategies. Who's going to decide and on what basis? So it could have happened that the client had a very bad experience because the product wasn't doing a thing that the client thought it would be doing. Well, that's not your fault, right, Helena? That's a product thing. So it's a product issue. So you better make sure you transmit that to product. But is the decision maker going to value it only on this one thing that the product had to do? Maybe yes, maybe no. What kind of metrics are they going to look at? Are they going to look at, I don't know, we've saved that many hours in admin, we've become more efficient, we were able to create qualified leads, or whatever your product is going to do. So just make sure what is going to do the thumbs up and the thumbs down of the renewal, and that is mainly the return on investment. So try, at least if you can, although maybe things have not gone that well, to show your return on investment also in that meeting, right? To show why it is a good decision to stay with you.
Do you feel like with all of these synergies between sales and customer success, do you feel like customer success should have a sales training?
I think there are a lot of methods, fundamentals in sales that are very, very useful for customer success manager, but also actually for everybody. So the thing is, sales get a lot of sales training, right? And customer success, unfortunately, they don't get as much training as salespeople do. But I think especially things like discovery, how to do a good discovery, things like, and if the customer success manager is responsible for upsell, cross-sell, renewal, that's sales. It's like some renewals are new sales processes where you have to go through the procurement department and better show your return on investment and negotiate. So yes, then if you struggle with that, definitely, get training on that. So of course, it depends a little bit on your role, but a lot of things in customer success are sales related. So yes, I think that would definitely help some people out.
With the topics, now I'm just thinking about the topics. You had the discovery. Is negotiation and objection handling one?
Yes.
Probably, right?
Yes,
Because I'm
definitely.
especially
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting, super interesting. I feel like the part that bugs me the most is that customer success is undervalued and undertrained, like under-enabled. We have sales enablement, which is great. And as you said, there's so much sales training out there, but it's almost like I picture a lovely, young, unexperienced girl to take over customer success, to, like super kind, super love, like almost naive. I feel like that's how you perceive customer success, just the lovely, sweet, cute little thing, let's say. But actually it isn't. Actually, it is driving, what did you say in the masterclass, like 70% of the revenue of a company?
Yes. Yeah.
Freaking 70%.
It can drive up to 70%.
Exactly.
And it's paying your salary.
Exactly. This is the importance. So I feel like with that in mind, what would you say are the 4 tactics, the 4 strategies for a customer success manager, especially if they don't have the support that they actually need, and especially if there's such a stereotype about customer success, which is just freaking stupid. What would you say are the 4 tactics for a customer success manager to enable themselves? What can they do?
I think, first of all, look around internally first. So look around, who is another good customer success manager get in contact with them, network internally, have a look at their recordings in case you're recording, learn from them, and also do the same with salespeople. So have a look at how others handle objections, how they have, done negotiations. Then I think it's also networking. So, I mean, guys, like, you'd be stupid nowadays if you don't use LinkedIn. With so much content out there, so much great content out there. And the customer success community, and I've just realized this now, is so helpful. They bring so much value. I think because they know that they need to bring value. Like you could get a mentor very easily, reach out to people, connect with others, like-minded professionals, sign up to newsletter, listen to podcasts. I mean, if you're listening today, then you're already doing this, but just make sure to know that you are the one that is responsible for your career and your skills. So there's nobody that's going to come in the company and say to you as a customer success manager, hey, Elena, I think in customer success, there's not a lot of training. So today we're going to do a 3 months training course on customer success. Don't wait for that, because most of the companies don't do it nowadays. You'd be very lucky if you get at least some training as customer success nowadays. Unfortunately, I have to say. But just make sure that you find your spots where you know that you need improvement, and everybody knows it at some point. If you don't know it, try to get feedback also internally from your manager, from your colleagues. And I think then you're already a step ahead. Most of the people just don't start doing that because it's very uncomfortable and it's a pain in the ass to work on yourself. Mm-hmm. But if you already decided to do it, then you're already a step much further than other customer success managers or other professionals anyway.
And to come to my final question, Cara, what would you say are 3 things that a company can do to support their customer success department?
Oh, great. Think 3 things, let me think. So 1 point would be definitely collaboration. So make sure you set up the environment and your culture to be a collaborative environment. That means, because in the end, customer success is in the center, right? You have sales that bring in new customers. You have product that works on a product, engineering, sort of, let's say, behind product. You have marketing that helps sales. So we're sort of in the middle. And I think communication in that way is key, right? You need to be connected with sales, marketing, product. So make sure that you also, as a co-founder, as a management, push that collaboration. I think that would definitely be one. Second one would be see customer success as a revenue engine and not a cost center. I think a lot of companies still see customer success as a cost center. And if you are working in a department, or if you're leading in a department where customer success is seen as that, make sure you link yourself to revenue numbers and indicators. Show how much revenue you've retained. Show how much churn you have prevented. Show how much, how many customers you've expanded. So make sure you show your return on investment in customer success internally. And other than that, I only said 2, right? So I need a third one.
Have fun.
Have fun.
I think one thing that was quite big, and maybe you can touch upon that a little bit, just to help companies understand why they should invest in customer success, are the numbers. The numbers, I feel like, are not known about the actual success of customer success.
Yeah, exactly. And that's quite sad, right? Because sales is very easy, new revenue. But since customer success touches on so many things, it can be a little bit more difficult. And I also think that a lot of customer success managers, at least that's a trend I see. I get a lot of messages of AEs saying, hey, Cara, I would like to start my career in customer success because I cannot cope anymore with the pressure of having to hit my quota, because it's a very difficult situation. And I was telling him, I was like, yeah, okay, the salary might not be 50-50 like in sales, but sorry, that's life. Your company's success is still measured on revenue that you make. And in customer success, you're still going to be measured also and linked to revenue. At least that's what I hope. And you're not going to be seen as a premium support. So that is the most crucial thing. And I also think maybe it goes even further. It's not just customer success also that retains the clients. Obviously, we always say that, but it's also the entire company. So it's marketing, reaching out to the right leads, getting right leads in. It's sales, selling to the right ICP, selling on the right pain point. It's customer success, doing the good onboarding, or the onboarding team, whoever is responsible for it, retaining that revenue. It's product, on making sure that the product goes along with the proposition that we have. So that's all around the customer. So I think it's a company-wide thing that you have to include there as well.
So what you're saying, the third point is just be a good company.
Be a good company, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Great. Cara, thank you so much for your time. As always, it's super, super enlightening, and it's such a beautiful topic as well. And I'm so excited to have you on board here as well, because it's not touched upon enough. So thank you so much for your insights. Guys, you can find her on LinkedIn. I'll link your profile obviously below. Her masterclass was absolutely mind-blowing. After seeing her masterclass, I booked myself a slot with her just to go through our customer success. It's like, Cara, I don't know what to do anymore. So it would be a waste of time not spending the time on that. Thank you so much for being here. It's always great to have you. And I'm excited for the next episode.
Thank you, Lena. Me too.